Morning, campers. Hope you can hear me. I had a last minute glitch there where I was massive panic. Anyway, we're in. I had to repaste the stream key, which is a geeky thing, and not being much of a geek. I'm in the deep end here, so I hope you can feel my nerves coming across. Our toilet, don't know what's hit it the last half an hour or so. Anyway, this is like the perfect storm of newness and nervousness. I've got tech that I've hardly ever used before. I've got I'm trying to follow if there's any comments. I'm trying to follow that on my phone, although I don't even know whether that'll work. Hopefully it will. I can see them there, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually read them or not. But anyway, I'm going to try. Let's have a look. I need to turn my sound off as well. I don't want to hear myself twice. Hearing yourself once is bad enough. Gerald, hi mate. Good to see you. Hi Adele up there in North Wales. Dusty, good to see you. There's 58 on, which is lovely. Delighted. I mean, I'm just... This is like so new, it's really scary. Anyway, bless you. Thanks for coming on. It's lovely to have you here. I guess the first thing to do is just say, well, why do a live stream? And I guess what I wanted to do was really just to be available to help folk, really. So I'm delighted you're on. Hi, Heather. Hi, Clary. Hi, Jackie. Okay. Lovely to see you. I'm glad that's working. I just wanted to be available, really, just to assist, really, and to encourage. Even though we have zero income at the minute, virtually, because we're not able to train people, the impulse to just try and help and encourage and be around to help and stuff is still there, and we really want to do that. Hi, Kerry. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Kev. So that's partly it, really. I wanted to make myself available. I'm here in my spare room. I feel I should rename this kind of box room studios. I mean, I can touch the door there and the window there. So, you know, we've not got a palatial space, but all we need is a camera and a seat. So here we are. Hi, Lane, Ruth, Katie, Alan. Hi, mate, up there in Flintshire. Hi, Harry. So I wanted to be available and just to do that. But I do really want to say that I absolutely haven't got all the answers. Those of you who know me will know that very well. And I've been really struck. I mean, we've had in the last 10 days, 326 people join this group, which is amazing. That takes our total to 857, which is fantastic. So there's an appetite, I think, to kind of be together in some way and to try and help, you know, and to try and help each other. So I'm really hoping this will be just another way of making this forum a place where, you know, we can help each other. And I really don't want it to rely on me here, but also for you guys to be able to help each other in the comments and stuff. Hi, Tammy, up there in RCT. Bless you. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Charisse. Susan, Michelle, Angie. Great to see you all. Thanks for being on. So I want to help. Also, I need to say at the outset, any kind of answers to questions and stuff, they're clearly going to be partial and quite short necessarily, because we can't give loads and loads of time for this. It'll be interesting to see how long we kind of need, but I'm kind of thinking 20 minutes to half an hour was what I was thinking might be reasonable, but we'll see. But they're going to be partial answers. Hopefully they'll trigger discussions in the group. And I have to be perfectly honest, I've been itching to stream for quite a while, but needed a safe place to do it. I didn't want to go straight on the Jonny Matthew Com Facebook page, because that's got a load more people in it and is very public. And I didn't want to make a pig's ear of it in public. Call that pride, I don't know. Hi Adam, Beth, Kieran McGrath, good to see you, matey. Hope you're okay. Don't know if you're in Spain or Dublin. If you're in Lochin, I really hope you're in Spain. Hi, Cheryl. So it's a safe place to try it out. So thank you for for being kind of guinea pigs and listening. And I've just realised that that I can see the chat up on my screen up here, which is brilliant. So, but it seems to be lagging a bit behind. So I'm going to keep it on the phone and go from there. So that's that. Anyway, so I've got a bit of a plan. I want to look at just a couple of posts that have been in the group this week that I want to highlight because you guys are posting really interesting stuff. I want to give those some time briefly. There's some questions. Again, I'm taking questions from the comments. And this video will be on YouTube after. If you are not currently on YouTube, search me up on there and subscribe to YouTube so that you'll get notifications and stuff. But I will be taking questions and comments and ideas for resources from the comments, the video comments, as well as the comments on the YouTube, on the Facebook Trouble Kids group page. So I want to look at some questions, quite a few questions. I don't know whether we'll get through a load of those, but we'll get through some at least. There's a website I want to point you to that I use all the time that is really interesting. Some of you will know about it, but I want to point you to that and just show you that on screen if I can. And that's it. And I'm gonna have a go at doing this again next Wednesday, 13th of May at noon again. If noon works for folk, I don't know whether it will. We'll have to play with that. Anyway, I know you don't know this, but we have a theme tune if it works. So I'm going to try it. Here we go. Let's get into it. Now, I don't know if that's horribly egocentric or just a bit of fun. I mean, it makes me laugh every time because it's a bit of a hoot. And hey, we've just gone over 100 people watching. Thank you, guys. But I can't tell you how it's fried my nut trying to get to grips with all the gadgetry and the software. And Dusty's been helping me a bit with the OBS and all of that stuff. So part of it has been, we're also making videos and trying to build online courses and stuff. So part of it's been learning new software, which has been talk about a steep learning curve, man. I mean, I've needed a rope and a couple of ice axes to make that work. But so a part of that, making videos and stuff, I thought I did something for TRM. Actually, I've got a TRM one here. Hang on, let me show you the TRM one just while we're on and we're having a bit of a laugh. If I can make it work. Hold on. Where's the TRM GIF? Oh, I can't find it. Oh, I don't know where it is. I thought I had it on here, but I haven't. Anyway, I'll play that next time. Anyway, there we go. Theme tune, like it or not. There it is. So, first thing I want to do is, firstly, welcome everybody who's joined the group. So, 326 people in the last 10 days or so. That's amazing. I mean, I'm just really glad because if nothing else, it's confirmed to me that there might be some use in getting together. So welcome, guys, if you're in. Just to say that group is a safe place for us to share resources, training, ideas, to help one another, and all that stuff. So welcome. Please get posting. You know, I keep a kind of loose eye on it. It's not there to sell stuff in that sense, but if there's good stuff that is going to really help people, then, you know, fine. It's really there for us to share ideas and to kind of be together in a safe online space where we can do that stuff. If you recommend it to other people, please ask them to answer the questions. It's just a way of me kind of making sure we've got folk in the group who are genuinely interested and are not going to try and spam us and sell us stuff and all that kind of. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do is look at some posts in the group this week. Just a couple of things that have come up in the group. I had a question from Cornwall and North Devon fostering folk. That was the title, Cornwall and North Devon fostering folk. Welcome, guys. Hi, if you're in the southwest. All my family live in Cornwall. My great plan, ultimately, if I live long enough to retire, is to retire down there. But you guys posted a question about helping kids return to school. after this break, the lockdown break. So, which was like almost a perfect Radio 2 link. So I'm going to just switch and hopefully you'll be able to see my Mac there. That's the streaming page. So I'm just going to take you over to Amazon. I want to show you this. This is a little book called Harry the Hound Returns to School. Now, this is a mate of mine, Neil Davies, who's in the education department in Neath Port Talbot local authority, works in special ed and supportive education for kids, EOTUS kids and NEET kids and so on. Knows his stuff, long time helper of troubled kids. And also by Wendy Steer, who is a colleague of mine in Barnardo's. Wendy is a very, very experienced practitioner and a play therapist now. And these guys have got together. Wendy also works in the education department, I think. And these guys have got together and written a book. And it's specifically to help children who are returning to school post-COVID-19, post-coronavirus, which is kind of amazing, really. Now, a couple of things to say about this. You can search this up on Amazon. And obviously, I'll put a link in the description below when I post this on YouTube later. But I haven't read it yet. I've ordered a copy. I really hoped it was going to come this morning so I could read it for you guys and give you a proper review. But I'll write a review and probably put it on the blog at some point. But I know these guys really well. I know Neil. I know Wendy. The thing looks like it's beautifully illustrated. So it's aimed at 6. If I scroll down, it's aimed at 6 to 11-year-old. He's very cool. He's usually very cool, but suddenly he's feeling very nervous about returning to school. So it's part picture book, it's part workbook, it's a story. It's aimed at 6 to 11-year-olds. So I just encourage you, get on and buy this book. Let's support people who are really trying to help kids. This book's probably going to have a limited market in terms of it being pitched at a post-COVID thing. But I'm sure, knowing Neil and Wendy, that there'll be real utility in this for older kids, kids with learning disabilities, for instance, may benefit from the worksheets. But also later on, post-COVID, I think this may be a help to kids who, were just struggling with school stuff. So please get on and support that. And I really hope that'll be a useful link for you. But let's support these guys who've written that. So that's Harry the Hound returns to school. Okay. There was another post on the group this week. I was hoping to show you the post, but I can't because obviously I'm live streaming through the page. But from Gareth Wall. Gareth's a regular poster on the page. Thank you, mate, for posting this. And he just he posted a link to Trauma Informed Oregon. Those of you who read widely on the trauma informed stuff will probably have come across these guys before. I think it's a kind of statewide organisation. I'm not entirely sure, but it's really good stuff. I've come across it previously, but I'm grateful to Gareth for reminding me because I've been having a look at it this week. Let me share the screen again with you. So if you look on here, this is traumainformedoregon.org. There's loads of resources on here, and I imagine that if you're on the page for long, you can sign up for their email newsletter. But if I take you across onto their training page here, Intro to Trauma Informed Care. These are training modules. They're free. You can watch them online, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and 15 minutes. Really good stuff. And a nice, short, snappy kind of information. So try that. I think you might find that really useful. There's blogs on here too. There's some publications. There's video vlogs as well as blogs. So all kinds of stuff there. Trauma Informed Oregon. So give that a go because I think you might find it really handy. And maybe if you're helping families and things as well and others, that'll be useful too. So thank you for that. Let's see who's on. Russ, hello buddy. Hope you're okay, man. Wifey's watching downstairs. Bless you, babe. Ever supportive. Brilliant. Pam, Caroline, hi. Lovely that you're all on. Really appreciate you being here. So that's a couple of posts from this week. So I want to get some questions briefly now. And again, please, really, I have absolutely not got all the answers, but I'll give you my very brief 2 pennies worth in the hope that it'll help. Just a little disclaimer here. Clearly, if you're posting and you're thinking about questions or something you want answered, please don't ever, I know you won't, but I need to say it anyway, don't post kids' names, don't post information that might be identifiable. I think that's really important. And just to say also, particularly if you're a parent on here, welcome if you are. It's great to have you here, just showing commitment to your kids or the kids you're caring for. There may be some kinship carers and that one. It's great to have you on. But what we do in this group, and certainly the information I give here and any kind of thoughts and in answer to questions that I give here, this is not formal guidance. This is not a paid consultation. This is absolutely not a replacement for proper professional help that is in person. You know, it's just me giving my opinion, but I know you guys get that, but it's really important to say that we need to stay safe, and we don't want to compromise safety for the kids by just using online advice that may or may not apply, or safety for ourselves, and obviously I don't want to be unsafe either. So there we go. Hi Fiona. Hi Bernie. Good to see you. Okay, question. This is a question from Vicky. I've changed Vicky's name, but I know Vicky, and she's. We've had a conversation about this. She wanted me to raise it. She's had a situation where she and her partner were living together with his children, and that got really difficult. So these are Vicky's stepchildren. They were very unhappy. They became very abusive to her physically and emotionally. And eventually they've had to go back and live with their mum. And Vicky was really keen really to let people know that it's quite normal for services to struggle with this. She got in touch with the school, and the school said it's for the GP. The GP said, well, really, this is not my bag. This is for the school. CAMHS, for whatever reason, didn't work out, was inaccessible. And Vicky just wanted, I guess, you guys to know and be confirmed in this idea that services don't always meet these kind of more complex scenarios that we come across. But her other question was, how does she help her husband now that his kids have had to go back and live with their mum? I mean, my first reaction to this was that this is a really tricky situation. There's so much going on here for all of the folk involved. You know, for the dad, he's going to be missing his kids horribly. I mean, I speak as a dad who doesn't live with his kids, and you carry it's like a stone in your chest when you don't see your kids. I have to be very careful how much time I spend thinking about that, particularly now your kids are not with you. It's hard. You feel like you become a visitor in their life. So he's going to have that going on anyway, but that's new and raw because it's just happened and they've just gone back to live with their mum. Also, he's going to be conflicted because it was his kids that were harming you, Vicky. And that's hard. You know, when your kids are hurtful to the one that you love, your partner, and yet you love your kids and you miss them because they've had to go. I mean, that is just really tricky. And I suppose the obvious but necessary kind of overall answer to that is that you two guys are going to really need to be absolutely there for each other, you know, and kind of try and understand what's going on for each of you, and to try and help with that. And I guess it's about trying to, you know, for you, Vicky, it's and you were asking a question, so I'm addressing this to you, really, I guess. Your partner, I don't know his name, is going to absolutely need you to be okay with him talking about what he's feeling. I really encourage you to try and help him to get talking about it and make some active suggestions. It must be really hard for you, you know, your kids have gone, you know. It must be hard for you because maybe you've got a sense of you couldn't keep them here, you know, maybe a bit of a sense of failure, and you'll have that yourself, Vicky, no doubt as well. because I know you love these kids and you were trying to support and help them, and I know because of our exchanges we've had, you've worked hard to try and do that. So that's really hard. For you, Vicky, there must be real relief that you're not being subject to this really hard, abusive, challenging stuff physically and emotionally, but at the same time maybe a bit of guilt and failure. So all of that stuff is, man, that's a burden to carry. Feel that it's and I feel that as a dad who who doesn't live with his kids all the time. It's hard stuff, but I guess the answer really is kindness, really, for each other, trying to get a bit of space separately, but trying to find time to kind of vent and talk to each other when you're together as well. Helping each other to be okay, being real and not pretending, I guess, is where I came to on that. So there's a gazillion things that we could say, and if people have got things they want to add to that, please, you can do so in the comments. So bless you, Vicky, thinking about you. Hope you're all right and it works out well for you guys. Come dive back in if there's other things you want to add in the comments. Next question from Matt Nichols. Hi Matt's working in secure care down in the south of England at Swanwick Lodge Secure Children's Home, and he's posted a couple of questions, so I'm gonna go with one of them, Matt, because I when you posted your questions, I think you were the only one, and then there's been a few more, so but I want to do credit to the fact that you were in pretty much first. So Matt's asked a question. He's saying how to look after how to look after yourself, really. He's saying when in fear of an allegation from a child. How to look after yourself when working in fear of an allegation from a child. Wow, I mean, this is a proper regular thing for us, isn't it? I mean, I spent 10 years working in sexual abuse work, and most of that was done one-to-one, working with children who are dealing with difficult stuff, sometimes disclosing difficult stuff, and you become very aware that you're trying to help, that you're building trust and engagement, you're doing your professional bit, you're trying to feel it with them and help them, but at the same time you lay yourself open. So that's sorry Matt, I'm just going to break off. I just noticed a comment from Loopy Lou in the comments. Hi Lou. Couldn't call me. I couldn't bring myself to say hi, Loopy Lou. And she's put a comment. Can anyone suggest any for anxious parents around the children returning to school? I would look at the Harry the Hound stuff, which is for children, and then flip it, and maybe in helping parents to help kids, you'll help the parents. There's real insight for us, isn't there, in some of the things we do with kids. Anyway, just a side thought. So how do you look after yourself? I think I've got two main thoughts here, Matt. And I know you know this, mate, but it'll help others, I've no doubt. I think the first thing, there's two bits. One is you have to do your due diligence. I'm a bit of I like to push the boundaries. I actually quite like to break rules, particularly if I think they're a bit crap. But this is an area where you absolutely cannot compromise in terms of all that stuff we know about working safely. And foster carers talk a lot and get a lot of training about safe caring, and I'm sure you guys do in residential, and particularly in secure. But I know, because I know you, that you're also really committed to relational working and building engagement through trust and all that kind of stuff. So, but I do think you absolutely have to do your due diligence. Safe caring is so important. Refresh that regularly. Make that a training piece that people come back to regularly. Keeping the right staff to children ratios, I think, is absolutely crucial. If the risk assessment is a good one and it says 2-to-1 staffing, then there needs to be no compromise on that. If it means no male staff or no female staff on a 1-to-1 with this kid, then we absolutely need to keep to that. If we know, for instance, there are private spaces issues, bathrooms, bedrooms, etc., and that's particularly resident, we need to be clear on that. That needs to be written into care plans and constantly reminded. I'm a big fan of single page. On of single. I'm so reluctant to call it a risk assessment, but what I call a sonar, single page sonar for a child. Sonar is a little kind of matrix thing that I developed some years ago. I keep meaning to make it into a product, but I haven't done it yet. But sonar stands for summary of needs and responses. Summary of needs and responses. And there's two things with that, really. The first one is that there's no risk mentioned. And that's because if we see risk as being something that comes out from need, then rather than defend ourselves against the risk, we position ourselves to meet needs. And I think so much of what we call risk can be diluted and dialed right down by meeting needs. So look at what the child needs. Has the child got violence issues previously and aggression? Are they targeting particular kinds of people, pregnant people, female people, other kids, younger kids, kids who are learning this, males on their own? Wherever the target is, that there's an insight there into how this child is functioning. So use that as in a summary of needs, and then look at the kinds of responses that will address those needs. And I think if we proactively care for kids with our safe caring in mind to meet needs proactively, we dial down the risk anyway. And then, of course, the other thing is to absolutely do your due diligence. So there's two bits in there about how we do the work. Run through the sonar, summary of needs and responses. What are the needs of these kids? What do their behaviour tell us about those needs? And how can we respond in a way proactively that meets the need, rather than wait for the need to stimulate behaviour that we're going to struggle with? Get into it ahead of time and proactively, and then do the due diligence. Absolutely run the rule book. I mean, it's not often you'll hear me say that. You know, it's kind of it's not my bag, but on this there can be no compromise, and I try to be really consistent and strong on that. And the second thing that crops up for me is the whole self-care thing, because even when you're doing your due diligence and you're running that sonar stuff, you're still carrying the burden that this could happen, that this is difficult, that these kids can respond out of the blue, that you can't cover all the bases ahead of time, and that's tricky. So I think if we're carrying that burden and we're in a place of work and a role which puts that on us, we need to work hard to try and look after ourselves in that. So I would say the other thing is self-care. Our self-care absolutely has to be a focus. Thank you, Gerald. Just saying the sonar is what they use in Hillside Secure, and that's helpful to them. I'm sure if you guys hook up, you can help each other there. Gerald Walker, if you look him up, Matt, I know Gerald will help you. Gerald is not in Hillside anymore, but he's got experience of that. So just to say, self-care, really important. I know you know this, Matt. But I think when the burden is there, you have to kind of keep letting the steam out of it. Talking to colleagues, talking to your loved ones, making it part of supervision, making it part of the okay stuff to talk about in the general chat in the room when you're with colleagues, and it's safe to do that, when the kids are not present. Because it just is the raw reality that this is hard stuff, it's hard work, it leaves a burden on us that an accusation may come. And I'm like many of you, I'm 30 odd years into this, with no allegations yet. But I think we can't rest on our laurels. We have to be all over this. But at the same time, even doing that, we have to talk it out with colleagues. Proactively look after your self-care. Please, guys, you need to do it. Even more so now with people who are in lock-in. I mean, I'm feeling for foster carers, resi people, you guys insecure. Wow. I mean, you've got some challenges on, and hats off to you. Respect for that. But that adds to the burden. So do your self-care. This is not a sales pitch. Those of you know I wrote a little self-care book. You can get that. It's about £2 if you get the £3 maybe if you get the PDF version or the Kindle version on Amazon. Just to say, we are, me and my colleagues, on TRM. There's all kinds of stuff you can get on TRM. Just go to trm.com stuff if you're interested. in the model, but we are right now working on an online self-care course for guys like you guys out there in this group. So as I say, not a sales pitch. We'll announce that when it's coming. It should be what we on. Hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be in a position to go to market with that. And we're really hoping that'll help, because we're getting inquiries, and I'm having loads of conversations with people who are feeling the sting of being in difficult work, but then the additional thing of lockdown and the tensions and the risk of allegations. So run your due diligence and sonar. Self-care, make it a focus, make it a thing you talk about in the team. I know you're very senior in your organisation, Matt, and you know this and committed to it. But if you're talking about it, makes it okay for other people to talk about it. Just as one more question from Lynn Davis. Thank you for your question, Lynn. I'm not sure what Lynn's professional role is, but Lynn asked a question. She may be a foster carer, but maybe a parent. But she said, seeing lots of regressed behaviours now that we're in lockdown coming up, that children reverting, I think was the flavour, to much more infantile behaviours, but also behaviours that were more apparent when kids were closer to the trauma and things. A really good question, Lynn, my word. I mean, absolutely bang on the money for where people are at, I'm sure. So I'm going to flick over and just share my screen with you, and flick over to the trauma recovery model. You guys will be aware of this model. Again, if you go onto the trmacademy.com stuff page, you can get this. You can download it for nothing. But I guess what I want to point out, Lynn, again, is that development happens in a kind of linear, in a kind of bottom-up kind of way. That you have a layer, and you get through that. And in child development speak, we talk about developmental milestones and so on. But one of the things that happens when kids suffer adversity and maltreatment and lots of change, or they've got attachment problems, or there are undiscovered comorbidity issues that don't get picked up, and relationships are difficult and things, is that those milestones don't get met. So this kind of running through this this kind of layered way of development doesn't happen. And you get this post-trauma as well. Kids will revert, people will revert. So I guess the lesson here is that, for those of you not familiar with the model, the stuff in the triangle is kind of examples of where a child or a person may be at. The stuff on the right-hand side you can see is the underlying need that sits behind that presentation. So if you're doing the sonar, you're getting a lot of violence and aggression. That sits down in that yellow layer, right at the bottom mainly. And so the underlying need is, some of that's about structure. So clearly it's about safe relationships and the lack of that kind of blue layer stuff. So what you can do is look at what's happening for the child, go over to the right, look at what the need is. And then when you're working your way through the sonar, those are the kind of needs you need to be proactively looking to meet. So you build your care plan around that. But back to Lynn's question, if we've had kids who've progressed quite well and they've made progress with you, and now there's a drop down and you're getting a reversion to earlier kind of behaviour, and it may not be trauma related like the TRM, it may just be earlier in the cycle in the stages of development, then it tells us that the child is experiencing something that where they currently are, they're struggling to cope with. And so there's a reversion to a regression to a formative way of being. It can be a very kind of infantile presentation. And so what we need to do, and the reason I want to put the TRM up there, is what we often find with complex behaviours with adolescents. See, if I mark the screen here for you, we might, where kids have worked through their trauma here, if we look at these layers here, they may have worked through quite well, or be working through in this purple layer. They've gone through that cognitive readiness threshold where they're more able to think about what's happened to them and how they are, rather than being caught up in the stress of it. And so we've started to do this work that is more cognitive. And then something happens. There's a loss a bereavement, separation, their boyfriend or girlfriend chucks them, something bad happens, contact with birth family, placement breaks down, an illness, whatever it might be. I was dealing with a case yesterday of a young man who'd been chased by a gang of kids threatening him with knives, you know, and he had to run. It was a 3-mile run to get to safety back home. Now that kid is suffering genuine post-trauma effects. He was functioning quite well, and he's now back down at a place that he was earlier in his development. And the trick here is not to insist in some way or to speak to or address or intervene with the child to encourage them to get them back where we want them to be. The trick is to go back to where they are and treat them like they need us to treat them now. So if we've had with complex kids in youth justice, they've made progress up to these stages of the model here in this purple and green layer. And then something's happened, they've dropped right back down, the behaviour is challenging again, the absconding starts, there's aggression, drug use, the routine goes out the window. The trick is not to say, well, what are we doing wrong? What do we need to change in order to get them back engaged with this more cognitive stuff they were doing before? The trick is for us to go back and do what we were doing at the earlier stage to engage them. If we look over on the left down here on this blue and yellow bit at the bottom here, it's about maintaining structure and routine. Predictability is safety for children. We need that. They need that regularity. But in terms of relational stuff, trust, engagement stuff, lots of one-to-one time. It's there, explicit on the diet. Pace. Those of you who will be familiar with Dan Hughes' playfulness, acceptance, curiosity, empathy stuff. I was dealing with a case yesterday. He was saying he won't talk. He swears. He's having real problems. But you know what? He will let us give him a foot massage. And he'll sit for 20 minutes and have a foot massage. Well, look at this. One-to-one time in that blue layer there. Helping kids to build relationships, feel safe and be structured. So build the foot massage into your structure. So how do you deal with kids who revert? You revert with them. You ask yourself the golden question. For this behaviour to be normal, how old would this child be? For this behaviour to be normal, how old would this child be? And if the answer is they'd be about 2, then we need to adjust what we do to help this 14-year-old or 10-year-old as if they're 2. And we need to just translate that for how old they are and change what we do in order to help them. So I hope that's helpful. As I said to you before, go to trmacademy.com/stuff and you can download the model for nothing there. I know many of you guys will have had it and have been on the training and stuff. So I hope that's handy. So one last thing, because we are, I don't know how long we are, we're about 40 minutes in. So I hope this is useful. There's still over 100 of you on, so I'm just going to carry on. I hope that it's useful, but not too much longer. There's a website I really want to recommend to you. Now, as many of you know, I'm interested in brain stuff. And, you know, I don't know what that's about. Perhaps I never got over failing my GCSEs, I think. So I'm constantly interested in the brain. And a lot of we incorporate quite a bit of brain stuff into the training. Thank you, Tim, for sharing a useful link over there. How to support children and young people finding it difficult with social distancing. So we incorporate this brain stuff, and I want to share one of my sources. I've put this out before on all the various social media channels. So I'm going to share my screen again with you. This is a website that I absolutely love. And again, I'll put a link in the description. It's the Center on the Developing Child from Harvard University. And it's absolutely brilliant. So if you go to developingchild.harvard.edu, you will find it. As I say, I'll put a link, or just search up Center on the Developing Child. It's absolutely brilliant. So here we are on the web page, and you can scroll through here. I've been looking at neglect because of a couple of cases I was involved in yesterday. But if you go up to resource library here on at this top right corner of the screen, resource library. You will, if you hover over that, this page, this drop down menu comes up, and here under topics there's all kind of stuff: adult capabilities, brain architecture, executive function, mental health, neglect, play. Great stuff on play. I love some of this stuff on serve and return on here. The importance of that lovely attuned stuff that we do when children are really small. They do something and we do it with our face and we mimic it. So that's called serve and return. It's brilliant. So if I click that, it takes us through to here. And I'm gonna just mute my keyboard. But there's lovely stuff on here. Now remember, this is the Harvard University Center for the Developing Child. This is one of the top research universities on the planet. It's fantastic. Jack Shonkoff, who's the director of the center, is just brilliant. I mean, just look at the graphics. If you want to pinch those, if you're trying to help somebody understand, you can use these. These are not aimed at professionals who know loads of stuff. They're aimed for people who want to know about child development, whoever they are. So you can play these. I've used these with punters. You can use them with families. You can use them with teenagers, certainly. There's some really good stuff on there. It hasn't come up now. I wondered whether their email sign up sheet, if I hover over the exit, maybe it'll come up. No, it hasn't. But there it is. So if let me move me out of the way. There you go. Wonders of technology. If you look down here in this corner, this is the sign up. Just crack on and sign up for it, guys. It is superb. They will not spam you. Absolutely. I mean, they tend to send stuff out maybe, I don't know, I'd say once or twice a month, maybe once every 3 weeks or something like that. So Harvard University Center for the Developing Child, brilliant. Crack on. If you've got other stuff that websites, stick them in the comments, because I'm going to snatch those. I'm going to feature a couple each time that we do this, and I'll be grateful if you want to share that. Obviously, share them in the Troubled Kids group. There is a trauma recovery model page on Facebook, so please go over there as well and share ideas and stuff on there. As I say, if you're interested in getting a model, go to trmacademy.com stuff, because that will help you. There's all kinds of gear on there. I'm just looking at my page to see if I've got that page open. I haven't, but I think I might be able to go to it and show you it. Yes, I can. Here we go. So trmacademy.com stuff will take you to here, and there's a free download of the triangle there. There's a TRM article. You can buy a poster if you want to spend a tenner. And there's some free download stuff, ECM stuff, Guardian newspaper. If you're Youth Justice bod, this is an article we wrote for the Magistrate magazine that Dusty and Trish wrote. So get on there, use that. There's book recommendations and all kind of stuff on there as well, if that's useful to you. So please post your ideas. So there we go. That's it. You can get me on all the usual social media channels. I'll leave that up there for a second or two. Please let me have questions. I want to I was going to say I want to scratch where you're itching. That sounded slightly unprofessional. Want to meet needs, so please let me know what they are. I'm working on ways of trying to get your comments into the stream, maybe as a panel down here or something. At the moment, that's beyond my technical ken, but I'm going to work on that. Next week, if we can get, what I'm going to do next week is I'm going to give a copy of my book away to somebody in the comments. I'm just going to scroll through the comments, and then I'm going to land on somebody and send you my book if you haven't got it. So please join me next week, next Wednesday, 13th of May at noon. Don't forget to leave your comments and questions. Thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe I can't tell you how long it took me to do that little thing. So I've got to do it again just because it's, hey, sense of great personal satisfaction. Thank you for being here. The links are in the description. I will catch you next time. Thanks for being on. Cheers.